There are places in the world where the word risk ceases to be abstract and becomes real. Risk, but not as a statistic. Risk, not as something happening to other people in other circumstances. Risk as the physical reality of being somewhere that will hurt you badly if you fail to make the right decision in the next few seconds. A place where the difference between what you intended and what the difficult terrain does with that intention is measured not in seconds, but in centimetres. This is not a list of roads that look dangerous in photographs. This is a list of roads where danger is a pure fact. Roads where danger is woven into the very composition of the ground beneath your feet. Roads that geography and geology cannot resist. Roads that were like this long before people came to capture them on camera, or even conquer them. Roads that will remain this way long after everyone has forgotten them and moved on. 25 locations, one place from every continent, and beneath all of them, the same unspoken agreement between the adventurer and the terrain. You came here of your own free will. This place owes you nothing. If you're ready, let's begin. We begin with fire, because the first place on this list has been burning for over 50 years and shows no sign of stopping. The Darvaza crater in Turkmenistan is not a gift from nature. It is a mistake. In 1971, Soviet engineers drilling for natural gas encountered a cavity they hadn't accounted for. The ground collapsed during operations. Rather than deal with the methane gas escaping from the void, they decided to set it on fire. They honestly thought it would burn out within a few weeks. It didn't. It has been burning for 55 years. The crater is 70 meters wide and 30 meters deep. To reach it, you travel hundreds of kilometers across the Karakum Desert. No settlements, no signal, and no one to call for help if something goes wrong. Then night falls, and as the desert sinks into complete darkness, you begin to see something on the horizon. Not a city, not a headlight, nothing human. A circle of orange fire deep in earth, as if waiting for you. It roars on. You feel it before you hear it. When you approach and stand at its edge, the heat strikes your face from 20 meters away. The smell of burning methane fills your throat. And the sound, not a crackle, not an explosion, just a low, unceasing rumble. This makes many people think the fire has, over the long years, developed its own rhythm. This fire has been burning for over 50 years. In that time, it has consumed billions of cubic meters of natural gas, enough by some estimates to power a small country for years. The Soviets created it. The desert kept it alive. No one has any real idea when it will go out. Some tourists pitch tents at the edge of the crater. They sleep beside it. They travel from the other side of the world to watch a mistake transformed into a wonder, and they watch it burn through the night. Would you? From the fire of an accident in Turkmenistan, we move to an ancient silence in Alaska. Pack Creek on Admiralty Island in Alaska is home to one of the densest brown bear populations on Earth. In summer, when the salmon begin their run, the creek turns red, not metaphorically. Don't worry, it's not blood. The water genuinely changes colour from the sheer density of fish passing through it, like a packed transit system, and the bears know it. They knew it long before humans started arriving to watch. When you arrive, you're given all the rules. You're told where to stand and where not to. You're told not to run. Never feed them. You're told that if a bear ever tastes human food, from your hand, your bag, your garbage, it doesn't matter. That bear becomes a bear that must be destroyed, because once that association is made, it cannot be unmade. That rule exists to protect bears from the consequences of your carelessness. The moment bears register, your presence is nothing like what you might find reassuring. Instead, they notice you the way something larger and more self-assured notices something smaller. If you're lucky, they choose in that moment not to be bothered by you. The ancient Sitka spruce canopy overhead filters light in a way that doesn't quite feel like sunlight. The moss absorbs sound. And in the middle of all this, a brown bear the size of a small car plucks salmon from the current with minimal effort. You are in the wilderness. In the truest sense, the wilderness has its own rules and its own systems, and that system was not organized with your safety in mind. From Alaska's silence, we move to the highest peaks, to that particular danger of high altitude. Solitary, quietly ancient, present for centuries. Nanga Parbat. The 9th highest mountain in the world. 8,126 metres. The Germans named it Schicksalsberg, the Mountain of Fate. The name may sound melodic, but its story is not. The name was given in 1937 after 16 people perished on a single avalanche during an expedition. Before 1953, the death rate among summit attempts on this mountain was so high that it had developed a reputation that overshadowed all its natural features. The southern face, the Rupel face, is the highest cliff in the world. It rises 4,600 metres in a single unbroken sweep from base to summit. This number is genuinely difficult to grasp. By comparison, the north face of the Eiger, considered one of the most demanding walls in the Alps, rises roughly 1,800 metres. The Rupel face is more than twice that. uninterrupted, vertical in places, ice, rock and altitude combined into a single geographical space that challenges the planet. And at the foot of this wall, and this is the part that, when you see it in photographs, rearranges something in the mind, there are meadows, green grass, pine forests. Life has emerged directly beneath something that is trying to kill everyone who approaches the summit. Climbers who survived the challenge of reaching the summit describe an experience above 8,000 meters, a sense of an invisible presence, an unseen companion walking beside them. It feels so real that some have turned back rather than face it. There is, of course, a physiological explanation: hypoxia, low oxygen levels affecting perception. For those who experience it, the explanation is insufficient. The mountain is still there. It still receives visitors. From Pakistan to Italy, we take to the roads. And this time, a danger that has nothing to do with height or barriers, something else entirely. The Stelvio Pass in northern Italy sits at 2,758 meters above sea level. On the northern face, there are 48 counted hairpin bends. The numbers are carved into stone walls so drivers can count how many remain. Depending on your personality, this may be either reassuring or deeply stressful. The road was built in the early 19th century by hand labour alone, hammers, shovels and human muscle, over 5 years. For someone merely hearing this, perhaps unremarkable. But for those who have seen it in person, that information takes on a staggering weight. Zero technology, human labour, 48 hairpins, 5 years. At 2,758 metres, oxygen is 27% thinner than at sea level. The oxygen you breathe at altitude decreases. Vehicle engines lose power. You hear the difference in the engine's sound, a strain that shouldn't be there. In summer, the road surface runs alongside glaciers, and the cold air off the ice creates a layer that turns dry asphalt into a surface behaving like wet glass, without any visual warning. The real danger on the descent is brake fade. During extended downhill sections, continuous use causes brakes to overheat, and the hydraulic fluid can begin to boil. The pedal softens. Feedback disappears. The driver has less control than they had 10 seconds ago, precisely at the point where the road is least forgiving of loss of control. The mountain does not give advance warning of rockfalls. Reinforced sections that have held solid for decades collapse without notice. Engineers repair the fallen section. Like the mountain is getting a manicure, this goes on year after year. The pass is open between June and October. In winter, a gate closes at the 48th bend. On the other side of that gate, a distinct silence, snow and absence descend. From mountain passes, we move to a place where the ground disappears entirely. Back to Pakistan. The Hussaini suspension bridge in northern Pakistan hangs over a river. In a valley where the wind blows fiercely, and it must face the full force of that wind. The bridge doesn't sway. It simply moves, the way a rope moves in wind. In waves, the entire structure oscillating from one end to the other. The planks underfoot are spaced apart, so you can look directly down at the river below. We suggest you don't. The river beneath is fast and violent. You cannot look at it and think, "I'd survive if I fell." It is the kind of river that, when glimpsed through the gaps in the planks, reminds you how immediate and absolute death is, and makes you look away immediately. Local people cross without holding the handrails. They carry loads, supplies, equipment, whatever needs to get to the other side, and move quickly across the bridge. Their speed and indifference make it seem like the bridge is simply a road, not a life or death event, and yet not everyone can cross with that composure. Tourists tend to move across it on all fours. This contrast, which might seem comic but isn't, is perhaps the most unsettling thing about the bridge. The fact that for the people who live here, this is simply a road. Don't expect me to tell you a dangerous road is actually safe. Not all the planks on the bridge are sound. Some, when you step on them, flex and give slightly. Here we are in Indonesia. Where, when night falls, a sulphurous volcano makes the world appear to be leaking blue fire. Kawah Ijen, located in East Java. Known for containing the world's largest concentration of highly acidic water in a crater lake. The pH of the lake approaches 0, at the very extreme end of the measurement scale, chemically. It is a genuinely turquoise colour, beautiful enough to make you doubt it's real, and acidic enough to dissolve metal. When sulphurous gases ignite in the vents of the crater, they burn at 1112 degrees Fahrenheit. At night, this combustion appears as blue flames, not orange, not red, blue, streaming down the crater walls in rivulets, like a liquid, which in part they are. Liquid sulphur seeping downward catches fire as it flows. This creates a dangerous natural spectacle. Miners work in this crater. They work by hand, without machinery. Wearing masks or cloth on their faces, they descend into the toxic gas and carry solidified sulphur, up to 90 kilograms per load, to the crater rim and then on foot out of the volcano. Some make this journey twice a day. The cloth is inadequate, so exposure compounds over time. The miners are aware of this danger. Sulphur is used in sugar refining and match production. The connection between the blue fire seen at 3 a.m. at Kawa Ijin and the sugar in your kitchen is a connection most supply chains never show you. Now we move to a place that has begun to live on an entirely different timescale. Belize, the Great Blue Hole. Seen from the air, it looks exactly as it is named. A circle descending into the ocean surface, a void, 300 metres wide and 125 metres deep, a perfect dark blue disc in the middle of the surrounding turquoise reef. It formed during the last ice age when sea levels were lower than they are today. What is now underwater was once a dry limestone cave system. When the glaciers melted and the sea rose, the cave flooded. The stalactites visible in the depths, structures that formed in air growing downward, are clues to what the cave once looked like. At 30 meters, a layer of hydrogen sulfide gas appears as a chemical boundary between the surface water and the deep. Below this layer, visibility drops to near zero. The marine life above, diverse, colourful, complex, does not mix with this zone. Bull sharks use this void like a base of operations, not for hunting. They move in a regulated way between the deep section and the upper part, in the boundary zone. If you dive in the upper levels, you can see them at the edge of your visual field, large silhouettes that neither approach nor retreat. The deeper you go, nitrogen narcosis sets in. This causes a sensation similar to intoxication, weakening the link between what you intend to do and what you actually do. Divers in this state have made decisions they would not have made at the surface. Some of those decisions, it must be said, have been fatal. This void is not a malevolent one. It does not want to swallow you. It simply is what it is, at the depth it is. And that depth becomes dangerous because the human body, under pressure, is there. China. A 30-centimetre wide wooden walkway on a cliff face, considered sacred for over 2,000 years, and according to local records, claiming more than 100 lives per year. Mount Hua, one of China's 5 great mountains, rising 2,154 metres above the Guangdong Plain. Two options exist here, the standard route and the shorter, easier wooden plank path. The standard route includes chains fixed to sheer rock faces, staircases carved at such severe angles that those climbing must use both hands and feet to continue. This is considered the normal path. How, you must be wondering, can the shortcut be more terrifying and dangerous? The other route is the Heavenly Stairs plank path. It consists of 30-centimetre wide wooden planks bolted to the face of the cliff. Should you fall from the planks, you descend 2,000 metres. You might expect the planks to be continuous and well maintained, but there are gaps between them. In some sections, the only thing beneath your feet are small iron pegs hammered into the wall, and directly below, a valley more than 1 kilometre deep. For visitors, the situation is somewhat safer. You can clip your harness to chains running along the cliff face. The chains are there to protect you. However, whether any given foothold beneath your feet is reliable and solid is a risk you must assess with each step. Seen from a distance, the line of people clinging to and moving along the mountain face looks, in certain light, like a line of ants progressing across a wall. It might seem abstract and insignificant from afar. Up close, especially on that plank, the situation is entirely different. This sacred mountain has been visited by pilgrims for 2,000 years. Those who question why this path exists might think something worthy of it waits at the summit. At least, that's what we can say about those who dare to walk it. This is not a path that existed only in the past or required exceptional courage in some other era. People still do this every day. Nicaragua. A volcano at whose edge visitors are permitted to stand for only 20 minutes. Famous for its permanent lava lake, Masaya, one of the rare volcanoes on this planet with a continuously active lava lake, not dormant, not periodically active, but a lava lake that boils without pause and is visible from the crater rim. Surface temperature is approximately 1,200 degrees Celsius. Sulfur dioxide is released at hundreds of thousands of tons per year. "20 minutes. This is the medically recommended maximum time at the crater edge before sulfur dioxide levels begin to cause irreversible lung damage. The park manages this seriously, with a one-way traffic system and timed entries. Visitors arrive, advance to the edge, gaze down at a lava lake that was there before the Spanish ever came, and will be there long after everything here is gone, feeling the full weight of their insignificance. And then they leave, taking with them what they saw and felt. When the Spanish first arrived in the 16th century, they erected a giant cross at the crater edge. They genuinely believed the volcano was the entrance to hell. A cross still stands there today, not the same one. It has had to be replaced multiple times due to gas and heat. The current cross is a modern version built in place of the one built in place of the original, and it stands at the edge of a lava lake older than Christianity on this planet. Inside the crater walls, you can see parrots nesting. Green parrots live in sulfur-laced rock in an environment where no other species could survive, at a temperature range where they shouldn't be able to nest, and yet they can. They have adapted. Exactly how they withstand this sulfur concentration, lethal to humans in more than 20 minutes, is not fully understood. The Congo. Do not expect it to behave like other volcanoes, because its lava is too fluid to resemble anything predictable. Nyiragongo, a stratovolcano in the Virunga Mountains, known for housing one of the largest and most active lava lakes in the world. The silica content of Nyiragongo's lava is unusually low, which makes it extraordinarily fluid. More fluid even than water at temperature, capable of moving down slopes at speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. This is precisely the danger. Most volcanoes, unlike Nyiragongo, give warning. Normally, lava moves slowly enough that in any crisis everyone in the area can be evacuated. Nyiragongo's lava, however, given the terrain, travels far faster than people can run. In 2002, following a flank eruption, lava reached the city of Goma within hours. Hundreds of people died. Hundreds of thousands were displaced. The scientists monitoring the volcano are mostly reacting and analysing, not predicting. The low silica content that makes the lava so dangerous also results in fewer seismic warning signals of the kind seen before other volcanic eruptions. The mountain does what it always does, and the instruments can only record it after the fact. On clear nights, the light from the lava lake reflects off the clouds above the crater and creates a blood-red glow visible from kilometers away. Tourists sleep in wooden huts just a few hundred meters from the crater. This has been the case for years. The huts are still there. We return to Pakistan, but this time the danger is not volcanic. The Hussaini area is also home to what the adventure world calls the Kuwandinsky Bridge, though its local name varies. This is not a bridge a structural engineer would recognize as such. It is a structure of cables and wooden planks spanning a valley over a river fed by glacial meltwater charging with tremendous force. Not all the planks are in place, some are missing. Some are present, but have weakened in ways you would notice only by adding your weight to them. Drivers who use this crossing carry their own planks. At a point where the surface is missing or unsafe, they lay their own planks down, cross over and collect them again on the other side. Passengers get out and walk. They proceed ahead of the vehicle, looking back to guide the driver, because the driver cannot see the edges. There is a fundamental rule that everyone who uses this crossing knows. Keep the vehicle door open, not ajar, fully open, so that if the structure collapses and the vehicle falls into the river, water pressure won't prevent the door from opening. This rule exists because the alternative, a closed door, a submerged vehicle, current pressing against every surface, has happened before. We leave Pakistan. Our journey goes underground. The Cave of Crystals in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico, lies 300 meters beneath a silver mine. In 2000, it was accidentally discovered by miners who broke through into a chamber. Inside, selenite crystals reaching 12 meters in length and 4 meters in diameter, grown in an environment resembling a fantasy illustration more than a geological formation. The temperature inside is 58 degrees Celsius. Humidity is 99%. This combination makes the air itself a threat. When breathed, it causes water to condense on the lung surface before the body can process it. An unprotected person loses consciousness in approximately 10 minutes. Researchers and scientists who have worked inside used ice-cooled suits and breathed chilled air. The crystals formed over 500,000 years in mineral-rich water. Water that was pumped out when the mine was open. Now, as the pumps maintain the dry environment, the crystals are slowly deteriorating. The draining of the water that made access possible is reversing 500,000 years of geological formation. It is no longer possible to visit as a tourist. The cave continues to exist as the remnants of something that most people will never see, and that is, in the truest sense, disappearing. India and Pakistan. A lifeline for those who live there. By the statistics, a death road claiming multiple lives every year. Zoji-La, 3,528 meters, the only road connecting the Kashmir Valley to the Ladakh region. When it closes, which it does from November to May due to snow, with depths reaching several meters, the communities on the Ladakh side become among the most isolated settlements in the world. "90% of the road has no guardrail. The drop to the valley side reaches 1,000 meters. In summer, the surface is dirt and gravel. Where meltwater cuts across, it turns to mud. In sections exposed to open faces, ice waterfalls form in winter and pour directly onto the road in spring, making an already restricted road even more treacherous. On the people inside vehicles on this road, buses, trucks, government cars, the effects of altitude accumulate continuously. Headache, nosebleed, nausea. At this altitude, these effects are expected and normal. Drivers who use this road regularly have become accustomed to it. Passengers have not. The road demands something from your body, regardless of what your mind has decided. On buses, the section behind the rear axle swings out over the void on sharp bends before the wheels reconnect with the road. Passengers sitting in the back don't see this, but they feel it forcefully. The seat tips into the void and then returns. This is normal here. That is a routine day on Zoji-La. Now we move to a completely different place. Guoliang village in Henan province, China, once perched above a cliff, accessible only by stone steps, steps that regularly killed people. The village had existed in isolation for centuries. In 1972, 13 farmers, not engineers, not government officials, 13 villagers, decided to change this. They dug a road through the cliff, by hand, with hammers, chisels, and primitive explosives. It took 5 years. People died during construction. And the road they built using these rudimentary methods was 1.2 kilometers long, 4 meters wide, and 5 meters high, carved entirely through limestone, 200 meters above the valley floor. Along the tunnel walls at irregular intervals, they cut windows, openings to the outside, to the valley below, to the light. The purpose of these windows was not to let light in or to provide views. They were a practical necessity for throwing out debris. But they remain today, looking through a crudely cut opening at the sheer drop below. You see on every side the work of 13 people. This road is still the only vehicle road to Gorlian. The people who built it, or their children and grandchildren, still live above. The road built to end isolation eventually became a destination in itself. Thousands of people come specifically for this road. They come to experience the claustrophobia they would never choose to live with. The same thing the villagers were trying to escape. The Sundarbans, the world's largest mangrove delta, straddling India and Bangladesh. And the only place in the world where the ground itself, not the animals, not the water, but the ground itself, is the primary threat. The Sundarbans changes shape twice a day. Tides reaching 7 metres push water in and out across the delta, turning what is solid ground into a sea floor and then back to land again. This cycle operates on its own schedule, not anyone else's. What is left when the water retreats is not a beach. The breathing roots of the mangroves, pneumatophores, rise vertically from the mud, pointed and densely packed. To fall in the Sundarbans is not to fall onto any ordinary surface. The surface looks solid, but it is not. It can pull a person in up to the waist and never let them go. The tide does not wait. The tigers here are different from tigers in other habitats. There is no fresh water, so they drink salt water. And the chronic physiological stress this creates affects their behaviour. Sundarbans tigers kill more humans than all other tiger populations in the world. The guides who work in the region wear masks on the back of their heads. Because tigers prefer to attack from behind, the masks are intended to create ambiguity about which direction the person is facing. Human presence in the Sundarbans is limited to boats. Walking here is not impossible because it is forbidden. It is impossible because the ground does not permit it. South Africa, a stretch of ocean where geography has incidentally created. One of the world's most productive hunting grounds for great white sharks. Shark Alley. The channel of the Western Cape Coast between Gansbaai and Dyer Island. Dyer Island is home to one of the world's largest Cape fur seal colonies, some 60,000 animals. The seals need to enter and exit the water to feed. This channel is the shortest route. The sharks are aware of this. Kelp forests on the floor of the channel provide concealment. The sharks wait. The seals have developed hiding and escape behaviours, erratic movement, group crossings, speed, and the sharks have developed hunting strategies in response. This interaction is not random. It is a system learned over millions of years. And this system is 8 kilometres from a town where people live. Cage diving is available here because people want to be inside this lethal system, separated from it by steel bars. The bars are the boundary. Everything else is real. And our final destination, a place where the danger is measured in half-lives. The Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. An area of approximately 2,600 square kilometres, from which around 350,000 people were permanently evacuated following the 1986 reactor explosion. The zone is not entirely sealed. It can be entered. Guided tours are conducted. Tourists come. What remains is a profound silence. Not the silence of nature. Nature has sound, animals, wind, water. This is the silence of a place where people were living and then abandoned overnight. Buildings stand exactly as they were left. The Ferris wheel in Pripyat was installed the week of the explosion and never opened. You know that particular feeling an abandoned fairground produces? Strange and impossible to articulate. Classrooms with books still on desks. A city abandoned mid-sentence. Radiation is not uniform, and it is not static. Across the zone, there are high-intensity hotspots where extended exposure is impossible. The red forest, the pine woodland downwind of the reactor that absorbed the initial radiation, turned red and died, has regrown. From the outside, outside, it looks like a forest. The contamination inside is invisible, but it has not gone. The remains of Reactor 4 still stand beneath the new safe confinement dome, completed in 2016. The corium, the fusion of molten core and structural materials known as the elephant's foot, lies beneath the reactor. Current radiation levels are lower than in 1986, but still capable of delivering a lethal dose within a few hours of exposure. The plutonium isotopes released during the explosion have a half-life of 24,000 years. This contamination will outlast every institution, every border, every political structure currently governing the zone. In 24,000 years, half of what was left behind will still be there. In 48,000 years, a quarter. The guide walks through Pripyat with a Geiger counter. The device makes sound beside certain surfaces in certain rooms. Near objects left behind by people who, when they left, did not know there was no return. The sound changes. What is here is not the past. The exclusion zone is a present-day reality of the world. This is what happens when a technology we did not fully understand behaved according to its own nature. This empty city is not a monument. It is a warning about what human civilization can build and what it can lose in a single night. There is a particular moment that people experience in places like these. Not at the first sight of danger, not at the most dramatic moment, usually somewhere in the middle, when the accumulating evidence becomes too great to ignore. The moment when the world ceases to be an invisible backdrop to your life and becomes a planet you realize you are living inside. The Darvazar crater was burning before you were born and will keep burning after you are gone. Nanga Parbat was taking lives when your grandparents were alive. The lava lake at Masaya was boiling before the Spanish arrived. The crystals at Nayaka formed over 500,000 years. The Sundarbans was changing shape twice a day long before humans set foot there. Chernobyl's radiation will persist for longer than written history has existed. These places do not exist on a human timeline. They do not operate according to human frameworks. They were here before we developed those frameworks, and they are places that lie beyond them. Places that do not follow those rules. What this means, truly means, not as a philosophical abstraction, but as a physical awareness you feel in your body when standing at the edge of a crater or looking down through the gaps in a bridge's planks. is that you are small. This is not an insult, it is a fact. And this feeling of smallness, held long enough, leads to something useful. It makes you reconsider what matters. It reduces the noise. These places exist for this, not for excitement. Excitement is a side effect. These places exist for that particular realignment that happens when you stand somewhere that has no interest in your existence. Open Planet TV documents places like these, not to put danger on display, but to give you everything you need to notice what these places actually are, their science, their history, the human stories they contain, and to truly understand what you are seeing. The world is stranger, more extreme, more indifferent, and more magnificent than most people will ever discover by looking too closely, too cautiously. Subscribe to Open Planet TV. The next road is waiting for you.